What's up, Johnny? Nice to my friend. Let's see, I've too crazy goes on in the YouTube chat. I'll have to stop and get the browser. All right. Welcome. Good morning. Yeah, hello. Thanks for watching. If you are new and don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. And I usually stream around this time each week, working on some stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what that is, you can learn more at circuitpython.org. It's basically a version of Python that can run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. Plug them into your computer. They show up like a thumb drive. You can write Python code and save it on there. And then when you save it, the microcontroller will execute the Python code for you. And I am picking up on the same thing we worked on last night on Deep Dive, which is on the Fruit Jam, which is an unreleased piece of hardware. It's not out yet, but we are getting closer and closer all the time. And so we're working on projects and things that will be available for when it does come out. And that is what I'm doing today. In particular, where I am going to start today, also, I guess, try to remember to say thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They designed the Fruit Jam, which is the device we're using today. They also designed a bunch of other CircuitPython supporting microcontrollers, although there are also lots of third-party ones as well, like Raspberry Pi designed these, Waveshare, VCC Ground Studio. So there's lots of different microcontrollers designed by lots of different people, but Adafruit is the company that supports CircuitPython by paying myself and the rest of the team of folks who work on CircuitPython full-time, and some folks that work on it part-time as well. So huge thanks to them, and if you want to help support them in the CircuitPython project, one of the easiest ways to do it is by purchasing hardware from them on their website, adafruit.com. You can get all sorts of microcontrollers and doodads, bits and bobs to hook up your microcontrollers to do different things with. And then eventually you will also be able to get the Fruit Jam there as well. Diving pretty much straight in today, I think the first thing that I would like to work on is something I did talk a bit about last night. So for anyone who didn't catch last night, to give you a real quick high-level version, I'm working on, again, on the Fruit Jam. It has HDMI out. I have that fed into a capture card so that we can pull it up on my computer here. And I'm working on an IRC client, sort of like terminal or curses style interface IRC client. And one of the parts that I have is for color. I'm always forgetting. So web Libre chat. Gotta remember that. So IRC is like a chatting protocol. An older chatting protocol from the early internet days. And so I'm working on a client for this that runs in CircuitPython on the Fruit Jam, and it could run on other hardware potentially as well, although I will say it puts a lot of text on the screen, so you need kind of a big screen. So DVI/HDMI sort of cables out are good because they can give you a nice big screen. TFT, OLEDs, you could run this, but you wouldn't be able to print as much stuff, obviously. But the first thing that I want to, I think, work on today is in the colored terminal. So the way that this name here is blue, this is being achieved through this class that I worked on called Adafruit Color Terminal. And I want to tinker with the way this works a bit. So I talked about this again a little bit last night, but just to, in case anyone missed it, to give you an idea of what I'm doing. In this color terminal, it has a class, color terminal. you could kind of think of it as extending terminal io.terminal. It doesn't technically, but like it kind of does in spirit. I actually tried extending at first, and I had trouble with one part of it. So in the end, I made it not extend, and I just made it have a terminal instead of instead of being a terminal, it has a terminal. But it also overrides the write method to like pass it through and kind of behaves like a terminal. So this is like built on top of terminal IO terminal, and the extra bit that it adds is you can put ANSI color escapes in your string that you pass to write here. And, as you might expect, it will parse the ANSI strings and it will turn the characters to whatever color is denoted in them. Right now, it has support only for 6 colors plus white and black. And then I also just added gray more recently as well. So 6 colors plus white, black, and gray are the choices right now. There are other specifications where these can go to more a wider range of colors. I think you can get 255 RGB or whatever color in there. Currently that's not hooked up, but the basics is. And then there's like a reset escape that goes at the end that changes the color back to the default. And what I would like to work on is in this class, inside of write, if we look in the code for write, it basically boils down to a loop that is looping over each character in the message. The message gets passed into write. That's the string. It's going to contain those ANSI escape sequences, potentially. It doesn't have to, but it could. And specifically, the color ones are the ones that we are most interested in for this class, to obviously be able to do what it does with the colors. So what it does first is it calls this parse ANSI colors. It passes in the string. This is going to return 2 things: the message without any of the color escape codes. So you're going to get a clean copy of the string that has no more color escapes in it. And then you're also going to get a color map, which is like a dictionary that has indexes within the string where the color codes were, and then they map to what color is supposed to be. So like in the case of this, it would have, the index of like 0, 1, and it would have the color of blue, and then it would have the index of like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it would have the color of reset in this case. It's not really a color, but it's resetting. Need to implement blink. We could do blink, yeah. Blink would be you'd have to be calling like a thing over and over in the main loop, but we could do it. Okay, so this works pretty well, and you can kind of get an idea of how it's going to then go and render the colors, because now it has the clean string and it has the indexes with where the colors should be. So from that point, what we do is we start looping over the clean message 1 character at a time. We're doing it in a while loop. We're looping over the index, but really we're just trying to get each character 1 at a time. What we do is if the index is in the color map, then we are going to go and update the current color mapping. So, if we found a changeover, if we found an index where the color changes to blue, for instance, we're going to set the current color mapping to be blue. The mapping is basically a list, I think, or maybe just a number. I think it's a list. We'd have to look at this function to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a list. We then check for character 27 right here, because character 27 is the start of the escape sequences. It's the start of the color escape sequences, but it's also the start of all the other escape sequences, or at least lots of them. I don't know if technically all of them do or not. I'm not sure. But all the ones I care about right now for sure start with 27. The character 27. And we have to treat it specially if we find a character 27. And truth be told, this is what I'm trying to get rid of. I would not like to have to treat it specially if we found a 27. I I would like to be able to just do the same thing for everything and have it just work. So for now, I will skip what happens if we found an escape sequence, but ultimately it just prints the full, terminal.writes the full sequence. Whereas if we don't find an escape sequence, if this was false and we go past it, then we go to here, we update the color at the current position, wherever we're at, we update it to the current color mapping, which we might have changed here, or it might just still be the same from the previous character. We increment the index, and then we write the single character that we are on. So this is technically calling write one character at a time, which could possibly be slow. I'm not really sure if that makes it slower or not. Seems like it could. But it also creates this problem, which requires the code to work like this, because when we are writing one character at a time, it means that we're never writing the full control sequence, which is multiple characters. So we're writing it one at a time, and what happens is the terminal class doesn't recognize the full sequence. It won't do the full sequence if you write it one character at a time, because it doesn't like look backwards to know what you wrote before. So you need to write a string that contains the full sequence if you want it to actually take effect. So essentially that's what it's doing. It's like, did we find a control sequence? If we did, then we need to extract it, and we need to write the full thing instead of only writing one character. And what I have in mind to fix this is no longer writing one character at a time, instead writing slices of the string. So if you think about it, we have the string and we have a list of indexes essentially for where we want to change colors. What we can do is we can write from the beginning until the first change. Then we can write from the first change till the next change. Then we can write from that change to the next change. Like, we can be doing entire slices of the string at once. We don't need to be writing one character at a time. Now, we do need to update the tile palette mapper. That's what this TPM is. We do need to update the tile palette mapper one character at a time, one tile at a time, in its own lingo. Maybe someday I could dive into the core and make a slice, whatever they call the thing that goes in the square brackets is, but right now it doesn't exist. And so we will have to update that still one character at a time. So we're still going to need a loop, but as far as writing to the actual terminal, we can do that in slices, and that should resolve this problem, because we should be always writing a slice that contains a full sequence if there is one in the string. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I remember when all websites had blinking text. Reverse video might be useful though. And this shouldn't be too hard. I went with the per character just because that was easy in the moment, but this shouldn't really be that much harder, I don't think, right? So we need to just think about the logic real quick. And in fact, actually, I think it would be good if let's get out of this whole IRC thing, because we have kind of this whole surrounding machinery of the IRC curses code and the IRC client code. There's kind of a lot going on. It would be nice if we just had something more like this. So let's do that. Oops. Okay. This one prints less stuff. We don't have nearly as much going on. We don't have to rely on the network. We don't have to send chat messages in order to get colors. This is more like a simple test of the color terminal, which is nice. But it has plenty of color changes here, which we can use for stuff. It's interesting that it does a reset before Yellow, did I have to do that? It seems like it would be extra. Although, you know, at one point, I think I just overrode green to also be doing the background. I was testing the background at one point, and I think I just put it in here. So maybe I reset to get rid of the background. Probably the case. Not sure if the background support ended up in this version of the thing either. Check on that. Okay. Let's start by just printing the clean string and the color map. And I will print it as bytes so that we can see any escape sequences in it. As like some of the characters in the escape sequence, they don't they're not printable. Don't show anything on the screen. Okay. So the clean string here is hello world, ANSI new line, and then map is that, and then we printed the actual thing as well somewhere back in CodePy, I think. We printed the actual message too, which is why it showed up here as well. And then like my terminal on my computer also supports these ANSI escape codes. So conveniently, we now kind of have like similar representation here as here, which is pretty cool. This one printed in yellow because it was still yellow from this, so that's fun. Okay, so basically we want to order the keys of this because we need them to be in order because we need the lowest one to come first. So let's get back in here where we printed this, and let's say ordered color change indexes. That's going to be sorted of the color map keys. Yeah, and then what we're going to do is let's turn this off for now. Yeah, I think we keep this because we still want that to happen, and we should still do it so that we end up on those indexes. So that's fine. We do that. We don't need this really anymore. We don't need a single character. We're not really going to be incrementing by one. We're going to need this still, but it's going to need to go inside of a for loop. I think what we want is like per slice is, I don't know why it just arbitrarily chose 3. That's kind of interesting. So we're going to go from index. Okay, we need a counter for this as well. So per change index, we're going to set that to 0. Okay, so for one thing, if we don't have any changes, if this is empty, then we don't have to mess with any of this at all whatsoever. So we should just not even loop at all in that case, actually. So if trying to think of how I want to write it. I think if not, I think we can just do if not color map, right? Like color map would be an empty dictionary. Okay, yeah. So that's falsy. So we could say if not color map. If there is no color map, then we can just write the whole message and we're done. Self.terminal.write the whole message, which is S. Have a better name, but whatever. And then return. We don't have to do anything else. Okay. If we do have a color map, then what we want to do is we are going to loop, and I think we can still use this condition. We still do this. We get our current slice, which is going to be index, and it's going to go to, so this is inclusive on the left, I think, and exclusive on the right. So I think we go to the next one of these. So we go ordered, color change indexes, and we want the current one of those. That's going to give us the slice from the index we're at until the next change. We're going to increment the cur change index. We are going to increment the index by the length of the slice, but we might need a -1. I'm not sure. We might be off by 1 there. So it'll be easy to tell when we run it. Yeah. So one thing that's going to get messed up is new lines. New lines are going to mess this up. Because if there was a new line in the middle of the slice, when we write it, it's going to go down to the next line. Ah, that's rough. We kind of have to. We kind of have to do something about new lines. I think. Rest. That gives us concepts of slices. I'm trying to think about how we want to do this. Do we just say if the slice has a new line, then deal with it inside of here? The end of the world, I guess. I guess let's do that. If new line in cur slice, I don't like having slices and chunks, but like now I need another word to represent the fact that I'm about to split this up again. I guess we could say lines since it's new lines. We could say lines equals split on the new lines, and then we need to write each line separately, so I'll dot write the line. You have to loop over them for line and lines. And then we also still need to deal with the coloring. So like the part that makes this hard is we need to still deal with the coloring. So okay, so I think what we do is we need to do this. I think we have to do this before we write, because if we write, then we're going to be changing the cursor location. And once we change the cursor location, then we no longer know where to start changing the color at. We have to do this before we write, and what we do is we need to loop from where the cursor is currently to where the new line is at. And this is going to probably totally be broken if you were to write more than a full line. So IRC program's technically not doing. I'm not going to worry about that since the IRC program's not doing it. I almost think we should have like a self def like apply color. Self.apply color, which takes a string message. String for. It doesn't actually need to have a color because our color is saved on cur color mapping. But we need a string because we need to know. It could be a number, honestly. It's really what we need to know is the number of characters to do, right? Because we essentially have to set each tile for each character to the correct color. We don't really care what the string is. We just care how many characters are in it. So starting x equals self.terminal.cursor x. Y equals self.terminal.cursor y. And then for x in range, starting x, length of string, TPM xy equals self dot. We do cur color mapping. Yeah. Except it is self.tpm. Okay, so we start here. We are going to go to the length of the string. We are going to be always on the same line because we're making sure to deal with new lines in here. So this function won't work if you have new lines. Because if you have a new line, that's going to mess up where the cursor is at. But as long as you don't, then it's going to loop over all the X characters it needs to, and it's going to set their color mapping correctly. So then we should be able to say, if we have new lines, we split out the lines. We're going to self.apply color for the current line. That's going to write from where we're at right now all the way to the end of that line. It's not going to write, but it's going to set the color for them so that when we then write them here, they're going to be having the right color. Okay. After we get done looping all of this, I think we're done. So this is if we had new lines, we do this, and then that's it. We're done, I think. Except we need to still... Well, okay, we're not done, though. We're not actually done. We need to... We need to go to the next iteration of the while loop. We need to continue. Continue? Continue? Yeah. Okay. All right, if it did not contain new lines, then it's easier. If it did not contain new lines, then we basically just need to do this only. And I think that's it. But it won't be line, it will be cur slice. Apply character, apply color cur slice, and apply, and then write cur slice. Okay. How badly have we broken it? Index out of range. 168 in right. So let's print the indexes we're trying to use. My guess is maybe we're just off by 1 at the end. Need that -1 somewhere still, probably. That. Might. Looking in reverse. Got a range. Okay, so we had index 11. So we're trying to go from 11 to 12. Right, and then but 12. Need message. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 plus new line. Why would that be out of range? 167. Oh. Oh. Okay. We're past. We don't have any more color changes. We don't have any more color changes, so we need to say if did we get the last one? 12. We need to, well, we're gonna do the last one still. Okay, so if the cur change index is less than or is less than the length of the ordered color change indexes, then we can do this. Otherwise, we need to just go to the end. So cur slice should be clean message of the current index all the way to the end. And we don't need to bother with this because we know that it's done. Index will do that. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Wait, why did we have that new line there? I put a new line. This might wreck. That might wreck it. I don't know why that's there. I guess it's just. Well, without it, they would print on the same line. Yeah, that might wreck something. Let's see. Oh, we need to put the new lines back, actually. So lines, we're splitting this on new lines, which is going to remove them. We actually need to write line plus new line. And possibly that's going to be messed up, I'm not sure, because this is only going to go on one line and the cursor will move, but then we should call this again next time. Maybe it's fine. So list is not callable, 179. We're line in lines. Ooh, got a lot of yellow. We not? Maybe we don't need that. We got an extra new. So ignore the fact that it was like everything was yellow. We either get 0 new lines or 2 new lines. Ideal. Does that happen? Ignore the fact that everything is yellow for a second, and then also ignore the fact that there's yellow here and green for world and ANSI, but they don't work, so that's not great. How terminal worked, but everything else is wrong. So I think that the indexes are wrong. Probably off by 1. Print. Well, we have the index here, I guess. So the first index was 0, which is not a color change index. But the next index was 6, which is. So it would have worked, kind of. I didn't. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Could have gone. I mean, it seems like it worked here, but in the actual visual one. So it did print the whole message, but still with an extra. Confused by. Mikhail Pakusa says, hi, is this like plug and play replacement for a default terminal? Is it possible to use with TFT boards that by default use the screen for the terminal display? It is intended to be kind of ish a drop-in replacement for terminal. The intention is that the API for write is the same as the terminal io.terminal. So you can instantiate the color terminal and you can call write on it, and it should behave like the normal one, except it should also handle ANSI, escape, start, and stop sequences for colors. That's my intention. It is technically a custom class that's written in Python. It I think of it as it pretty much extends terminal io.terminal, but technically it does not. It technically has a terminal instead of extending terminal. And really the only reason is because I couldn't figure out how to override the write method and call the parent version. There's a way to do that in CPython, but it wasn't working for me in CircuitPython. So I changed it to not extend, but it is my intention to be a replacement. It's not, currently at least, it's not quite drop-in, because also actually, I'm not sure. I think that the init function is different arguments. Yeah. So the built-in terminal takes a scroll area, which is a tile grid, and a font. Right now, at least, and this is brand new pre-alpha, subject to change, could totally be different. But right now, at least, the color terminal takes a font and a width and a height, and it actually creates the tile grid inside of here and then creates the terminal after that. So the interface, the API for initting is different. Therefore, it's not quite, you can't just straight up drop it in. But after you instantiate it, it's the same. And you could totally use it on a TFT, as far as I'm aware. I haven't tried it yet, but the intention is totally that it should work. But I will say one thing is it won't work for the built-in thing, right? So like if I control C like this, right, to go to the REPL, like what we're looking at here, this is the built-in terminal. It will not work in this. This terminal is inside the core. We could eventually make this support the same thing. So like maybe someday we'll have one in the core that will do this, but the Python one here won't. This is only for making your own app that has a terminal inside of it that you can write to. So it looks visually, similar to this, especially if you make it full screen like this. But it is still your own app. It's not the system. So you won't see like the REPL and all that in color. In the ANSI colors to be specific, because the built-in, it gets a little confusing. The built-in terminal actually does support color, but it's all or none. You can change the whole color of the entire REPL terminal to be like green or whatever. But what you can't do is you can't have like start green, write the word hello, stop green. That part is not supported in the core terminal. That's where this color one comes in. So at first I was like, we're not landing on the indexes, but we totally are, because we run, so 0 to 6 should have been no color, which it was, but then 6 to 11 should have been 32M, which turns out is green. But didn't actually work. Okay, so our slice, I guess let's print the current slice. We not do this now? Maybe this needs to be done later? No, because we're relying on the cursor. Really relying on this. And again, I'll print it as bytes so that we can see like everything that's in it in case it has escapes or anything. Yeah. That. Let's also go inside of here and just print these out as well. That should just be color map. Okay, so first of all, this is weird. 0 to 0 is weird, but that's for the second line, I guess. So let's worry about the first line first. So we got the slice hello. We then set the index as 0. Wait, no, I think that's XY. Is that XY? Or is that supposed to be YX? YX? I think so. I think it's XY. Not sure though. Super cool idea. Yeah, thank you. I think it'll be cool to play with for especially for I mean honestly for all kinds of stuff. So I was fixing to say like especially Fruit Jam and DVI, Pico DVI outputs, because you have such a large screen to print on, but I mean honestly you could use this for all our apps and stuff as well. Cool. Int yeah, XY or index. So 0, 0, 1, 0, blah, 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 all the way up to 5, 0. That should be fine. This one didn't happen. So there's your problem right there. For some reason, we did not go into apply color for this one. Why? So we get hello and then world. I wonder if we went, I mean, we should have gone into there because index is 6 and 6 is definitely in the color map. We should have gone to here. This should have got updated. Should have done this. We got the slice. We know that our slice came out correctly because world is exactly what it should be. There's no new line in it. So we call apply color current slice. But nothing happened. So, oh, this is wrong. This should be starting x plus, right? Because we want to go from where we're at, the full length of the string, we need to add on to it. So like the first one would have worked fine, but our first one was no color, so it worked fine, but it's not visually interesting. It is, we are getting yellow in the full terminal there, which is interesting. Okay, this is now working what I would call mostly successfully. The colors are correct. We have an extra new line though, and I don't know why. Especially, I don't know why, because when I took the new line, when I took the new line out, we got -2 new lines, so. And so world, the new line comes after ANSI. The current slice is ANSI new line. That basically turned all of the tiles for ANSI to yellow. But this would have done something weird. Because lines would split on the new line, but the new line is the end. So what does that even return? Does that return? You had ANSI new line and you split on new line. Get ANSI and an empty string. Okay. Okay. So the truth is we need to add a new line for all of them except the last one. Wait. Yeah, no. Yeah, if I is less than the length lines -1, which means that we're all the way up until the penultimate one, all the way up. No. Yeah, all the way up until the last one. On the last one, we want to do something different, which is just write. No, definitely not that. We want to write the line with no new line. Nice. Cool. Okay. Sweet. Trying to think of a way to test other escapes. So where's I need the escape for changing the cursor. It's possible to search for H though on backspace. That's not up, cursor down, cursor position. So okay, so CSI, that's escape, I'm pretty sure. They call it control sequence initiator. So escape. And then I'm going to call this XY instead of NM, but whatever. Actually, YX though. So YX. The 1 is the top left corner. Is that true? Is it the bottom left corner for us? Let me print the cursor at the end of all of this. Let's just say, actually, this code's here. Look at that. Boom. Boom. Already there. Oh, but terminal is a terminal. I don't remember if I passed those through. Okay, I did. Yeah, I made properties that passed those through. That's a thing that wouldn't have to be there if we could extend for real. If anyone happens to know in CircuitPython if you can extend a parent class and then call an overridden function. So I want to override a class that has a write function. I want to make my own write function, and I want to make that call the parent's write function. In CPython, the way you do it is you call super and you pass the correct things to it. I think you pass the child class, maybe? Feels backwards. Anyway, you can call super, you can pass something, and it can let you do that, but the same thing wasn't working. CircuitPython. So this is X, Y, and totally, in this case, it looks like 1, 1 is bottom left, not top left. That's fine. Okay, so I want to test this. So let's do I'm gonna give it something really weird, and I have no idea if it's gonna break it or what, but I'm gonna call this move cursor. This is going to be a string with *27 plus bracket. You need the bracket also. I think that's part of the CSI. Yeah, so we have Y and then X. Y and then X. So I want to go up some. So like 10. And then H. Okay. So then here, something wrong. What pessimism is that? Things fine, man. Nothing went wrong. Jeez. I mean, a few things went wrong, I guess, but something else. Negative with the code generation. Goodness. Yeah, okay, so like theoretically it's gonna print something at the end of colors, and then it's gonna move the cursor to like up here and then print else. Maybe. Or just print nothing at all. Oh, okay. Well, somebody only passed this to print. It's obviously not going to go into the terminal, so Whoa. Wait, what? It is the top left. So you... Okay, that is awkward as hell. So when you move it with an ANSI escape, it is top left based, but when you get them back out with cursor X and cursor Y, it is bottom left based. So that's cool. For a short period of my life or two, this was better than Napster, LimeWire. Direct download, sending files and to clients when requested with some exclamation command. Yeah, yeah. I remember the two times in my life when I was using IRC, most at least, were like you say. Let's say sharing things with your friends that you're allowed to share, definitely. And the other one for me was like matchmaking for virtual Magic cards, Magic the Gathering card game. I'd play online with some buddies, and at the time, there was this program that was like kind of like a sandbox. Like it didn't really enforce the rules, but it would let you. It had everything you needed to keep track of the game state. So as long as both players agreed to play by the rules, you could play a game inside of it. And then we would meet up in IRC. There's like an IRC server that was for finding matches. Launching, yeah. Okay, that actually works surprisingly well. I'm surprised that worked. Let's see if colors, let's see if it messes up if we do colors. So what if we did, so we've already reset. I'm gonna add a space here just because something is at the end of ANSI and I don't like it, or colors rather. Doesn't really matter, but I don't like it. So we've already done a reset by the time we get to something. I think, what if we did a CN and then another reset at the end? So this time we're getting harder on it because we have two escape sequences close together. One of them is a color, which is going to get stripped out. The other one is a non-color, which is going to get not stripped out. But it should still work, I think, maybe. I don't know why this is yellow. I guess... I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why that's yellow, and it totally did not work. So... Well, yeah, it's never gonna work. Yeah, you can't do this before you move the cursor. That's not gonna work. Can you? I mean, obviously you can't because it didn't work. I'm surprised it didn't print anything, though. That's a little weird. For one thing, we never got the slice of else. So we have this, we have something. Oh, dude. Oh, that is not ideal. Wait, what? It's got parsed as a color. Why did this get parsed as a color? Get parsed as a color. Get color mapping. No, that's the wrong thing, actually. Parse ANSI color. That's what we want. I'm pretty sure this logic has to be messed up in order for us to... Okay, here's what happened. Here's totally what happened. Is it went all the way until it found the last reset. It found the beginning of the change cursor control sequence, and then it was trying to find the end. It thought it was a color sequence because there's no way for it to know better, because for some reason the type of sequence comes at the end. Why is the type of the sequence at the end, by the way? Wouldn't this be like a million times better if it was like escape character, square bracket for some reason, and then type right there, like H or M or whatever? And then we had like an ending character? Like maybe we could have an ending square bracket and no beginning square bracket? Or I don't know, or just add an ending one? I don't know. It's weird that the type is at the end. That's like the type of command it is, basically. I think the solution to this, though, is we shouldn't search so far. Well, actually, I was going to say we shouldn't search so far, but maybe that's not true, because if we ever have aspirations of doing more colors, then we would need potentially up to 3 digits and then semicolon 3 more digits and then M. So we'd have to go at least 7, which I guess could save us in this instance. Oh, but you can do 255 actually for each one, it looks like. So it's actually way longer, right? Because this could be 255 semicolon 255 so you would need 9 plus the semicolons, plus it looks like there's a preamble thing. Yeah, length is not what we should do. But we can know that we found the beginning of another sequence by checking for character 27 again. All right, so that's saying if this is basically looping one character at a time, if the current character is the escape character, 27, and the character after it exists, so, and it's not the last character, and the character after it is an open square bracket, then we found the start. And we are basically searching for the end of the color sequence, which is M. We need to... We need to also look for character 27, because that would indicate that the control sequence we found wasn't for colors. Essentially, we know it's not for colors because colors end with M. We didn't find an M before we found the start of another control sequence, so either they're invalid, they have extra escape characters in them, or it just was a different kind. In our case, H, which is for cursor moving. So this while loop is weird, though, because this is saying while I is less than the length and it's not M, then add 1. So eventually this will be not true. Either we will find an M, which we did, but it was all the way at the end on our next reset, or we would never find one and we would go past the end. I think we can just say $27. So we keep going until we either go past the end of the text, find the M, which indicates we found the end of the color escape code, or we also stop if we find a new beginning escape code. If that were to happen, we would then go to here. This could be true. This would be false because we have not found an M, we have found an escape. So we go to here, we add the escape that we found to the clean string. We're just treating it as regular text. You know, in our case, it kind of says regular text. It's actually it is an escape. It's just not a color escape. This function only cares about color escapes. So we put that back in the string. We go I plus 1, which means we can start on the next character. Should be fine. Okay. That is more like what I expected. So the color still does not work, but the text does, and that's good. To make the color work, like theoretically maybe in good terminals this would still work, but in this terminal it would be really hard to do because trying to think of like trying to even put into words like why it's hard to do. It's hard to do because the color doesn't know. Like we essentially don't. Actually, oh. I don't know if it's going to work here either. After thinking about that for a minute, does. So it's what I expected, but the more I think about it, the more I'm not sure why I expected it. So if this was here, we should write the word something, and then we... Well, okay. One question is, do I care enough to fix this? Which, like, it could turn out to be the case that the answer is no. Might just be the case that, like, maybe this is technically supposed to work. This will be an imperfect terminal instance, and it might not work. And I might be okay with that. Because, you know, like, you can put it after you move, and then it does work, so kind of a don't hold it that way sort of a situation in some opacity. But it is interesting to maybe think about for a minute here to see if we can possibly do something with it. So we had Hello World, then we had terminal colors. Nice colors. Printed that. Okay, so then we have the clean string is something, and remember, this is clean of color code, so it still has other escapes, just not colors. That's why that's there. That's the cursor move. So our clean string is something, and then it's a move. And then it is an else. Yeah. So the problem essentially is that no part of the code is currently responsible for changing the color after the cursor has moved due to a command like this. So what happens is we set the current color mapping to cyan. We would presumably even be calling apply color. Like, this is the apply color that's trying to set colors to cyan, but it has no idea that this is actually going to cause the color to move. Not the color, but the cursor. So what it's doing is, like, what it should do is change the color for the first character, which is technically a space, so it's going to be invisible anyway. But technically it should do that. Then it kind of pretty much needs to know that this is an escape sequence that's going to move the cursor. And then it needs to go, and after that, these numbers should be different. But instead, it's just treating every character the same. So it sets the space, it sets the escape character, sets the square bracket, so it's just pretending that it's going to write all of these out, literally, at the end of something. So technically, these tiles right here have the color mappings for cyan, but obviously they have no text in them, so we don't see it. So in order to handle that, we would have to, back inside of here, we pretty much would kind of have to do a very similar kind of well, maybe not have to, but one way that this could be solved is do a very similar kind of logic as this. So this is saying if new lines are in the slice, we have to treat them specially because our X and Y of the cursor are going to change. We have to call apply color more frequently, essentially. We kind of need another block here that in pseudocode says if there is a cursor move control sequence in the slice, we need to treat it specially. We need to, essentially we need to do the same thing. We would have to split out what comes before it. We'd have to write that. Then we'd have to actually execute the control sequence, move the cursor, and then if we call apply color after we move the cursor with the next part of the string, it would take effect. But the problem is, well, one of the challenges is this is easy. If new line is in curslice, that's easy. It's a lot harder to say if cursor control sequence is in curslice, right? Because cursor control sequence, it's not one character, so we can't just say if this is in that. It's not even a string of characters, which we could still do a string of characters in. But the problem is these are variables, right? So they don't have to be 1010. Like, you almost need regex. It would almost have to be like... regex. Okay. I have at least talked the problem out. I think I understand like where the difficulty lies now and one possible solution. So I could always look back on this if I end up wanting to implement the solution. I think for right now, though, the solution that we're actually going to go with is don't do that, and instead just put your C in after your move cursor, and you're not going to have any problems. And then it's going to do what you want. If this is what you want. Yeah. Okay. That is awesome, actually. I'm kind of surprised that the moving the cursor worked as well as it did. Obviously, we have the problem that we just went over, but that's still pretty good, the fact that that works. Okay. I think this is probably in a good enough spot to get published. Like, it's still kind of pre-alpha, like it's not meant to be completely 1000% polished, ready to just use by everyone for everything. But I do think it's good enough, like it works. I have a simple test now. I think it would be good to get this published for folks, for in case if anyone wants to start using it. Because the more people we get using it, the more likely to find all these weird quirks and bugs. And also, getting it published means that it's on GitHub and people can submit PRs and stuff. If people like really want to try to fix the move cursor thing or really want to add other functionalities and features, this way it'll be easier for people to contribute. In order to do that, we are going to head over to the old cookie kitchen where the cookies get baked. We are going to go to the Learn Guide and copy paste the cookie cutter command because I do not know it by heart and I have not made an alias or a shell script or anything. I should probably do, come to think of it, but right. Creating and sharing. And terminal. You're right, yes. So we need to go source up C and activate. And do that again. Yeah, download the thing, sure. Adafruit. Adafruit, author name. Yep. Library name. So this is the small name as it appears in GitHub. So I think color terminal. So it'll be Adafruit CircuitPython color terminal. Library description. Is it bad if I call it a superclass even though it's technically not? What if let's say, or I could say extended, but the problem with that is like the official Python term for superclass is extend, I think, right? Like in my head, it's superclass. Well, is that true? Maybe that's not true. I'm thinking of Java. And in Python, you don't even use the word extend. You just put it in the parentheses. I don't actually know the technical term. I'm just gonna say extends or an extension of. Extends or extension of. I think extension. Extension of terminal io.terminal that allows ANSI color that supports. I can't go back to the previous line. I will say, I've noticed this before. The cookie cutter. Go back to the previous line if you make it wider. That's cool. Is it going to be all janky, though, now? I don't know. I have noticed this before. The cookie cutter is like, it's really rigid in its text input. Like if you get messed up, you can't, it's all weird on you sometimes. Okay, extension of terminal that supports ANSI color escapes or subsets of text. Yeah, that's the best I got right now, I think. ANSI colors, color, terminal. Cape codes? Can't do left either, so that's what happens if you press left to like edit what you had. Console for terminal as well. Library prefix, Adafruit, product. It's not tied to a product. Bus device? No. The requirements? Tile palette mapper, but that's a... No, it's all core stuff. Tile grid, palette, tile palette mapper, terminal. All core. All libraries. Sphinx? Yes. Right. Terminal. Choose a random one of these and then go open from here because that's going to make this closer to where that spawn. Down though. Cookie kitchen. Color terminal. Should have done this window. Let's close that because I don't need it. Okay, so we have Adafruit color terminal and I have Adafruit color terminal. So I'm going to take the code into here and let's do some cleanup while we're here. It's mad. Unexpected types, any tile palette mapper, any. Possible types, bitmap. I don't know. Honestly, that's weird because it does the same exact code as right here and it doesn't happen, so. My best guess is that's like maybe this, like maybe for some reason this project is picking up tile grid from either the stubs or from Blinka, but this one is not? Maybe? And then if that is happening, then maybe it's basically being like, yo, pixel shader is supposed to be a palette or a color converter. Because maybe I did not update the docs for tile grid when I added tile palette mapper. This is not super relevant to the thing I'm working on, but I'm going to check just to see if that's the case. Yeah, so pixel shader, it says color converter and palette only. So technically tile palette mapper is acceptable there as well. And I guess that's what this is trying to say. I have no idea. Based on the wording, like, I don't get that out of what's written there, but that's my best guess. And for now, I'm just going to ignore it. Any comments that are just me printing something can mostly take out. Definitely take out this random foamy guy thing. They're mapping. I think we don't need this anymore. So this, the nice thing about that whole slicing thing we just went through there is that we don't have to use this at all anymore. Which is super nice because then we don't have to go and add all of the possible sequence ending thingies. That print. That. Rid of this. Oh, one more thing, I guess. Do I care that so much of the thing prints yellow? No, I mean, that's exactly what it should do. Because... yeah. Yeah, it's exactly what it should do because ANSI it turns to yellow before it prints ANSI. Has a new line at the end. But then it prints this. Perhaps a bunch of other stuff because of all of our debug prints, which I've mostly taken out by now. But we're still in yellow here, so it's keeping the same color it had, which is fine. It looks weird when it scrolls by, but fine. Was I editing the wrong one of these? I was editing... oh, actually, this is still here, so I must have been editing the one in the repo. What we'll do is we'll edit the one in the repo, and then I'll copy it back to the device. Message. Why do I have an empty print here? No sense. It's here. I don't think I was off by one. Already started now, so I'm going to go ahead and keep deleting these, but it might have been worth testing the IRC one again to see if it still worked correctly and print the usernames in color. It'll be all right, though, probably. Yeah, so this is the code we get to get rid of. This. That's a thing that can happen as well, I think. Or it did before. I don't know if it still can, but I'm going to leave the code there in case. And we're no longer looping character by character, so that's cool. Yeah, actually, I did start doing a visual cursor with this as well, but it's not... I think he's using it right now. Okay, and then we can dump all that. Why is this mad? Unpaired symbol? Why does it think it's unpaired? Powered by language tool. I'm over here, so it's incorrect. So, oh. I'm over here, comma, is part of the quote. Am I missing a comma? It's telling me I'm missing a quote. I'm just going to leave it. Or does this usually go inside of a knit or here? That's exactly what I wrote in the description, right? Okay, but the description is stored in the file, which it's probably reading. Okay. Okay. For a second, I was like, why? How did that just generate the exact same text that I wrote in my terminal back here, which was outside of PyCharm? But from there, it got saved in PyProject Hummel, and this probably read every file. Supports ANSI, yeah, that's fine. Need parameters. I always forget the correct syntax for docs, strings, param, type, name. Font? I don't know what the font type is. Then font? It's gonna put param fonts. So built-in font is the type of the built-in one, but you use image load. I'm not sure if it, I don't know what it gives, what type it gives back to you. Not image load, but bitmap font. Maybe it gives you built-in font. I mean, it would be kind of weird because it has built-in in the name, not built-in. Load. So we should add a thing in CircuitPython typing for a font type. What we should really do. But for now, I'm just going to leave it font. I don't want to list out all of those. It would actually be all of those plus built-in font. Is it? Yeah. Well, not semicolon. So font, the font to use for the terminal, that's fine. And width of the terminal in characters. Pretty sure that's in characters. Height, the height in characters. That's wrong, but kind of. Custom palette. A custom palette of colors to use. Instead of the must have at least 9 colors as of right now. Must contain at least 9 colors. Theoretically, they should be in the right order, but like, you know, if you want your terminal to use green instead of blue, you could totally do that, and I'm not going to stop you. You could do that by passing a custom palette that has green in the spot where blue would ordinarily be. But if you want them to match the actual ANSI escapes for like which color is supposed to mean what, then there, okay. Then you will need put them in the right order. I'm not going to specify that order here for now. This could be malformed. So this could actually be non-color escape or malformed escaped. In either case, we're going to treat it as plain text. So get color mappings. This already has Docstring. Given we could give it one of these though. Color code. One's a string. I mean, yes, but that's kind of awkward to just list it again. ANSI escape code. Color code. ANSI escape. ANSI color. Escape code. Apply color. So that is going to. Should do that so they all match. So that is going to essentially set the color, set the current color into the tile palette mapper from the current cursor position to the end of string, the given string. And would be broken if the string contained a new line, I'm pretty sure. Do we want to include that information here or not? Not sure. String, it's technically the string with length. Is that a weird way to word it? The string with length to apply color to? Yeah, I don't know, that's a weird way. The string that have color. Right. Yeah, that's write a string to the terminal. If it contains ANSI color escape codes, then the tile palette mapper will be adjusted to map to the given colors for the specified subsets of text. It's kind of a weird way to word it as well, but param s is the string to write. I don't think we need the last part there. Also, we could specify that non-color escapes will get respected as long as they're supported by terminal.io.terminal, but that feels like a lot of stuff to write relatively little benefit, because I feel like that should just be assumed. I think I'm going to leave it. I kind of like, the reason I call it an extension is because I'm trying to convey that all the same stuff that works in that still works here, but also the color escape subsets work. Again, one of these days this might move into the core, like maybe terminal.io terminal gains support for this, or maybe we introduce like color terminal.io or something, like it's a different module so it can be turned off everywhere if we don't want it, but maybe we introduce one at some point that does this in the core. But for now, Python level, I think this conveys it well enough, I think. It might be nice to comment this up a bit at some point, but I'll focus on doc strings first. Update the visual cursor. So this one's not used right now. Not used right now, but basically what it will do is invert the color mapping at the current location of the cursor. And it will undo the old location as well. So why don't we call it move the visible cursor to the current cursor location. It's weird, like we have a visible cursor, which is like what you can see, and then we have a cursor location, which are the integers, the numbers that represent where it's at, and they don't just automatically stay in sync. So that's why this is like two concepts here, even though they're both like the cursor kind of. We'll just say visible cursor is denoted by inverted color mapping. I think there's actually an invert color sequence, which I have not added support for. Oh, that's what you're talking reverse video. Ew, okay, I didn't know that was the term for that. That one has inconsistent emulation, so I don't feel super bad if we do it weird. It would be cool to do that one. So that says 7, so that would be escape square bracket 7M. The blinking, maybe we could do the blinking in the core. If we did actually implement this in the core, I think it could get a callback in the main program or whatever. Like it might be able to blink without Python code having to say like call the blink function or whatever. At the Python level, like this is now, in order to implement blinking, the user code, the code that's using this class would have to be calling like update or blink or whatever. It would need a function to call, and it would have to call it fast inside the main loop. And then it could track internally how fast it wants to blink and whether it's time to invert or not. But wonder why they call that reverse video. I guess because it was output to the video screen. Interesting. I think, is there a color one too? Or is that what I was thinking of? Maybe that's what I was thinking of. So, well, I mean, it technically kind of is a color because it ends with M. Okay, apparently M is graphic rendition parameters. They're not all colors. A bunch of these would probably break the code, actually. Like, if you tried to use this, it would probably break. I don't know what, it'd probably be a key error. Probably catch that. We can't really do a lot of it. Like, bold, we can't do. I was reading in here, some of them, instead of bold, some of them actually just use brighter colors. We could do that. Although, like right now, I have the colors kind of are the brightest they can be, so I'd have to tone them down first, the ones we have, and then we could have increased intensity for bold. I don't think I want to do that though. If anything, there's also like a set of bright colors, right? Like there's regular colors and then there's bright colors. And I actually used bright black as gray. So like 90 and 100 are currently the only color from this second set that I have implemented. All of these ones, though, I chose to use colors that are pretty much all the way brightness like these. Except for blue. Blue on black, I couldn't read very good with my eyes, so I changed blue to be more legible. My blue is more like this, kind of. But everything else, I just use full brightness. Maybe, though, we could introduce these. It might be cool to have these. The rest of them besides gray. But again, that's part of like my motivation to get this published, is then other people can add stuff they want. Update the visual cursor. So this takes no arguments. It doesn't return anything. Not actually being used by anything right now. EX position for the cursor. There we go. I should also mention this is brand spanking new. Terminal.io.terminal only has these in like cutting edge main stuff because I just PR'd this the other day. They were tracked internally. There was already variables in the shared module side for the cursor position, but there was no binding, so there was no way to access them from Python code. And I added that binding the other day so that those are accessible from Python. So if you would want to use this, you need not even just the latest alpha, you need like main latest brand newest. Don't need either of these. I don't know why it asks you this during the questions, but then it still puts these here. Could maybe change that. So there's never really going to be specific hardware. I mean, I guess Fruit Jam you could put there, but like it's not actually really specific to the Fruit Jam, right? Like it should work on any display. Okay. All right, let's take that and put it back on the thing. No, we don't want any of that. Thank you. A likely ban evader was restricted. Wow, look at that. Did it get shown? They're restricted. Maybe it only showed it to me. Ban. How do I ban? Why is it different? Which has a lot of people trying to do stuff on there. Oh, it wasn't the headphone thing though. So I wondered if I was gonna get a third week in a row of the headphone thing, but it looks like no. I actually have Adafruit Color Terminal. I'm gonna put original on that just in case I ever actually want the old code for any reason. Write that with the new one. And then honestly, before I even do anything else, I'm actually just going to take a backup of the full Fruit Jam here. Jam Rev C 825. I actually already did one today, so that's going to be number 2. Okay. And then, yeah, let's see if that still works. I mean, we didn't really change functional code, so it should be fine. Yeah. Cool. Let's use this as the simple test, I think. See any reason why not? It's like maybe slightly above and beyond simple test since we're doing the whole cursor thing, which is like, I would argue maybe slightly above simple, but doesn't matter either. I tend to like to change these to MIT. I don't think it matters that much really between those two. They're kind of like very similar licenses anyway. But like the library code is MIT, so it makes sense to me that the example code would be as well. This we don't need. This is a different thing for something else. In clear thingies. Rid of this. Guess we could do this, and then else would maybe get put in CN in the terminal in the serial console. Maybe matters. Oh, look at that, dude! It changed where else is at in there. I mean, makes total sense, but I didn't think that was working before because it was printing else and it just wasn't doing anything, I thought. Interesting. That's cool. Although that does make debugging this. I actually I need to remember that because that actually kind of would make debugging this a nightmare, right? Because if you print accidentally, if you ever print that, then it's just like not only are you overwriting stuff you printed before, which could be important, like this could have been a stack trace or whatever, but also it means like the new thing you're printing, you like it could be wherever, right? Might need to know to go and find it instead of just look at the bottom where you expect it. That's kind of that's a fun bit of troubleshooting. I'm glad I noticed that actually. I at least know that's a possibility now. Cool. Yeah, so that's working. I think that makes a good simple test. Basically all we need for this. I'll make this repo. I mean, I was gonna say I'll make it under my GitHub first, but it's actually, I think it might as well just make it under Adafruit, right? Yeah, I think I should just make it under Adafruit. This is, copy it so that I make sure to get it right. Description, I can just copy that as well. Oh no, it's gone. Did I not type this? Did it erase it? Huh. Extension of, you know what? I bet you that got messed up. I changed the width and it looked like it was working, but I bet you that wrecked it. I bet you it didn't actually get what I typed all the way. Extension of terminal IO terminal that supports ANSI color escapes for subsets of text. Written. Public. You don't need any of that stuff because it already comes with the cookie cutter. Terminal, okay, create. And we only have a few minutes left, but I have got to run to the restroom, so I'll be right back, even though we're almost at the end here. I'm not. Airbnb. Okay. This. Git remote add Adafruit. Oh, that's not gonna work. Git init. Git remote add Adafruit. Paste. Fetch. Git add. Git ignore. Git ignore. Add all. Recommit. Oh, still running the old. Well, it's still detecting the changes from the previous run, basically. It times slow at, fortunately. Remove the space. All right. Method parse ANSI colors could be a function, class method, or static method. Do I care? Basically, that's saying it doesn't use self. It's self, but it doesn't need to. Static. Class method. Class method is different. I don't static. So. Oh, no way. We're like 4 minutes from the end and the headphone person is here. For anyone not watching on Twitch, it's another one of the headphone people. Are you kidding me? 3 weeks in a row with the headphones. That's like the meta for selling art on Twitch. For sure, this person wants to sell me art for the stream. Is this my passion? I'm fairly passionate about it, I would say. But you don't have headphones, so you can't hear me. Allegedly. Why do they always say they don't have headphones, though? What's up with artists having broken headphones on Twitch? I mean, I don't think they're actually there. I don't think they exist, probably. I think they either just don't have headphones and they really want you to type. Sorry, this is like unrelated to what I'm working on, but it's kind of related to a book I'm reading in a weird way, and it fascinates me to think about how they came up with their pitch, basically, to sell this artwork on Twitch. Like, it's so doesn't matter to anyone anywhere, but for some reason it's interesting to me to think about. Back to the point, though, we cannot do this anymore. We have to say like that, because now it's static. Okay. Could I say I do not want to buy any art? Do I just not interact this time? I'll just not interact this time. I can't believe, though, with 4 minutes left, we got it. That's 3 weeks in a row with the same exact pitch. The headphones are broken. Please type to me in chat. They'll ping me too, by the way. It'll be like, I bet you in another like 1 minute, they're going to ping me on Twitch since I didn't reply yet. That's the next thing. And it started the same way every week. It's so crazy. Why do they all use the same one? Don't they know, like, from the streamer's perspective, now I've seen like the same thing over and over again? Now it's like clearly not real. You'd think they would like change it up a little bit. I'd think they would change it up a little bit. I mean, they must go with what works, right? This must get the best return. It's so weird. Sorry, again, I've gone down the rabbit hole here. Yeah, all right, so we added this stuff. Pre-commit should be happier now. Oh, just kidding. I didn't save. Save. Okay. Good. This is probably broken. I'm gonna guess this is broken, but I'm also not gonna fix it right now. Said I was not gonna fix it right now. We'll try one thing to fix it, which is mock. We can just add this to here. It should be the start of a fix at least. Hopefully we are gonna also. What's the last one? Was there one more? Oh, yeah. Oh. Is there something in the README? Yeah, I think that's. I'm gonna push that for now though. It's on master. Let's go git checkout -b main. Oh. Might mess up the git ignore. sure if that's going to work because we already committed. Might have like counted that as a commit the other branch. No, it's going to do it. Nice. Okay. All right, and as wrong as that feels, pushing directly to main, it's a brand new repo, so this is okay. Out of a super duper abundance of caution, before I actually push it, I'm just gonna say git remote -v and make sure that Adafruit is the new repo, because if I had accidentally pasted the wrong repo here somehow, then we'd be pushing to main of some other repo, which is not what I want to do, so double check that before we push the old button there. They didn't ping me yet. Maybe I was wrong about the ping. Okay. Cool. That is published now. If anyone else would like to play with Color Terminal, it is out there. It's not in the bundle yet, so you have to get it directly from GitHub. But it is there. You can use it. If you do use it, run into trouble, please either create an issue or ping me on GitHub, ping me on Discord. Let me know what kind of weirdness you found, if you found anything. That is going to do it for now. So I will be back next week for Deep Dive at the usual time, Friday evening, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. On Friday for Deep Dive over on the Adafruit channel. I should be back here on my channel on Saturday, 10 a.m. Central, the usual time, for some more CircuitPython fun. Thanks to everyone for watching. Hope you all have a good rest of your day and a good weekend and all of that. And I will see you later. Thanks.